let's let's record, and otherwise we can use it as audio only. It's absolutely no problem.
Well, that's too
No.
bad. I don't know why it's not working.
Well, sometimes it doesn't work. So Gary, anyway,
Really?
thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah.
And the first question is, how did you get involved in the Elephant's Memory Band? What's the story?
Elephant's Memory was let me see if this clears it up.
Hey, there you
Ah,
are.
there he is.
I could the menu to come up at the bottom, but I
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
Good.
To your question, in 1971, I was coming off of a recording contract with the band on Columbia Records called Pig Iron. I'm sure you guys never heard of it over there. But the band was coming to an end, and I was working with Paul Simon, um, doing some recording at Columbia Records. And I mentioned that Elephant's Memory had an ad in the Village Voice, a popular paper here in the city. And he said, "Boy, if you have a chance to go down and audition, you really should, because I heard them in the park a couple of months ago, and they were really, really, really good." And I said, "Okay, I'll think about it." And it was absolutely, I think the next day I was at another session with another, at Atlantic. I was bouncing around doing studio sessions, and the famous songwriter Jerry Ragavoy, who wrote the song Another Piece of My Heart for Janis Joplin,
Right.
ended up being a really good friend of mine and had me doing a lot of soul kind of singers at Atlantic. And I actually mentioned to him that I was thinking about going down to audition, and he says, "Oh, definitely go. I know Stan, the saxophone player. We use him on some dates here at the studio." And so I went down. It was kind of like a cattle call. I think there were 60 guys showed up.
Right.
But I found out later that they had heard that I was coming down. They knew who I was from previous bands and the studio work I was doing in Manhattan. So I got the gig, to make a long story short. And the rest is history. And we started shows right away. I love the fact that what interested me was studio work is great, but can get a little boring,
Mm-hmm.
just doing jingles and stuff. So I was anxious to go out and play live with them, because I could tell by, what I had heard from word of mouth and what I'd seen of them in the Village Voice newspaper, that they were really kind of the happening band in town. So I was excited to go out and play live. I hadn't been doing it in maybe a year. And the tour I had been on with the band Pig Iron came to an end. So I was really hot to play. So it was a lot of fun. We did a lot of dates, outdoor parks, and we worked at Columbia, the school Columbia in Manhattan,
Yeah.
and do a lot of collegiate kind of gigs. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Politically activists. They were very politically activated.
Is that how you got involved with John and Yoko, the band,
Yeah,
as the
that
band?
was one of the aspects that they heard and liked about us, that we were, politically aware and doing benefits,
Mm-hmm.
act doing benefits in New York for the political cause at that time. And but I had done with Elephants, we had done a little recording at a radio station on Long Island in New York. And back in those days, they recorded it on reel to reel, but then they would hand you a cassette when you walked out, just as a memory of the day or whatever. And lo and behold, Jerry Rubin, the activist, slipped that tape to John and Yoko. So I think that's what sold us.
Ah, wow. And do you remember the first time you met John, and what kind of guy was he in your opinion?
Yeah, Tim, we were down in our rehearsal studio in the village, Greenwich Village,
Mm-hmm.
at a studio called Magna Graphics, and we had heard, I had seen them around at the delis during the day, but you didn't really run up to them and accost them, kind of give everybody space in the village. So we were aware they were they were around and living close. I didn't know how close at the time.
Mhm.
But so lo and behold, they showed up at a rehearsal one night, and John was just amazing. He didn't bring a guitar, but I could tell he was hot to play. They really just came in to meet us, but we ended up, giving John one of our spare guitars, and I think we played all night. It was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Was it clear that they wanted you as the backing band for yeah, maybe for some gigs or for an album?
We just thought it was for fun at first. I didn't really take them seriously. I mean, it was fun playing and all, but about 4 o'clock in the morning, Yoko spoke up and says, "We want to join your band." And I mean, come on. I mean, we were just dumbfounded. I mean, it was like a dream coming true. I'm like a guy from the Hicks out in West Virginia almost. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was just surreal. It really was. But so we thought it was a joke. We were laughing around about it. And then after about 20 minutes, we realized they were serious. They were really they were sick of having to get Klaus and Eric Clapton and all the guys together. It was like a major operation just to do any kind of a benefit or show or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Booking had heard a lot about us and were intent on finding someone to play with them. And so we didn't know how that would work. We immediately said, we're signed to, I think we were on Metro Media Records at
Right.
the time.
Yeah.
And, they had just come off a hit record, Mongoose.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big deal. It was top 40 here in the U.S., Billboard and Cashbox. So they were promoting that, and that was another reason that I joined, because I knew they just had a hit record. So how bad could the future be?
So, did that get immediately into the sometime in New York sessions, or what was the
Yeah,
time?
what was the time frame?
First, Tim, was they wanted to discuss about the record companies. We didn't know whether Apple would take us. They said they would try to get us released from Metro Media, and we started realizing this could actually work. So Yoko wanted to discuss a name, so they decided that they wanted to keep the Plastic Ono band thing, which they were really hot on. And so they said, how about if we just call it a merger? How about the Plastic Ono Elephant's Memory Band?
Mm-hmm.
That way, when it comes to when it comes to an end, nothing lost. They continue on as the Plastic Ono Band, and we continue on to get another record deal, which we did. We signed with Polydor over there by you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Polydor Ltd, I think it was. And after the 2 years with John, we signed with RCA in the States and Polydor over there. So it wasn't but 4 days of rehearsal. We started right in January. That was around Christmas time, by the way. So in January of 72, I think we rehearsed with them maybe 2 or 3 times, and John called me and says, "We want to do the Mike Douglas show." So that was the first thing that came up. That was a show here where you were on the whole week. It was an afternoon talk show, but they had music.
Mm-hmm.
It was on around 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And so it wasn't just one show they wanted to do. They wanted to do the whole week. They were the guest hosts of the whole week.
Yeah.
So down to Philadelphia where it was filmed, and that was the first thing we did with them. Yeah. And that's out on DVD. It's bootlegged. It's been out on DVD. There's a recent one that was just released last year, I think.
Yeah.
Daytime Revolution, I think it was called.
Correct.
And the sound was improved. I thought it was pretty good. It was just a little boring for me, the politics. 53 years later, it's like, oh my God, do we have to do all this again? But it was all political guests that were on the show. But we did quite a bit of music. We played every day. Chuck Berry came down and played.
Yeah. How was that?
Seen any of that? Yeah, and that was the first day that Chuck and John had met. So that was a pretty big deal for John.
Yeah. Did Chuck say something about Yoko afterwards? Because there's this famous clip where he's looking at Yoko when she does her beautiful screams, and Chuck is like, "What the hell is going on?"
That everybody latched on to that. I mean, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it until maybe 4 or 5 months later, because I really didn't kind of get Yoko yet. It only, like I said, it had only been a week or so.
Yeah.
I really wasn't. So that took me back too. If I hadn't been busy concentrating on playing my bass parts, that would have been pretty alarming. But that's what she was all about. But
I can imagine that Chuck didn't get it either.
No, he didn't get it at all. But he's kind of a son of a bitch himself, so he deserves a little of his own medicine once.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. So
he can be a bitch on stage. I'll tell you. We went out and toured with him a little bit because, as you all know, John didn't get a green card.
No.
So we really couldn't tour right away. We were getting all the stuff together. He bought us like $100,000 worth of equipment and all the road cases. We were preparing the risers and the setup of the road show, and they had a set list, and we were ready to go. But the only thing with the problem was no green card. So that really set us back. It was just like a day-to-day pain in the ass,
Really? So there were plans to go to Europe with the band.
Oh, big time.
Wow.
Yeah. We thought the show that we did at Madison Square Garden was going to be the kickoff.
Right.
Yeah.
The lawyers had told him they were getting close. They weren't.
No, it took another 3 years.
72, he thought we were getting there. So, let's do another benefit show. We had done the Cavett show, another one of those talk shows too, as well. And he recorded. We recorded sometime in New York City. I'll jump back for a second. We recorded sometime in New York City right after the Mike Douglas show.
Mm-hmm.
In like March of 72.
Right.
Was it
in 2 weeks to record Our Elephant's Memory, our second self-titled album. But this one was on Apple, and John was producing.
Yeah. And
he thought that show at Madison Square Garden was going to be the kickoff of the tour.
Yeah,
but just never happened.
To go back to the Sometime in New York City album.
Yes.
It was officially produced by Phil Spector and John and Yoko, but how much of the time was Phil actually there? Was he actually there?
He was there a couple of days. The first night he came in and put a silver-handled revolver on the board and a 2-ounce bag of cocaine. I knew it was going to be trouble. I mean, because we were there to take care of business, right? It was not funny to me.
No, I can understand.
And he was a real horse's ass. He didn't like us. I mean, I guess I can kind of understand that he didn't think we were worthy because he wanted to continue to work with Eric Clapton and Klaus and the stars. He didn't. Somehow he got the impression we were street musicians. I guess because of the political connection. But that couldn't have been farther from the truth. I mean, that was kind of a joke because we were all studio players playing on dozens of albums, as well as our own, for years, And so we were definitely not. Yeah, we played a couple of shows in the park, but that doesn't make you a street musician like David.
Correct.
We didn't make our money with putting a hat down on the ground, taking change.
Mm-hmm.
We're all on retainers from record companies and doing a whole lot of studio work. So I had just finished an album with a really popular R&B artist that was considered the top 10 R&B artist of the 60s. His name was Howard Tate.
Okay.
Up some of that stuff. It was a pretty big hit. And the fellow that I mentioned earlier, Jerry Ragavoy, was the producer. And I think Rolling Stone called him the top 10 blues singer of the 60s. He was one of the top 10 in the 60s.
Yeah.
So that was a real thrill with that. And I digress. We had done a lot of studio work, so we were very experienced. And so much for Phil. He lasted 2 days.
Wow.
They started bickering, and he was gone. Never saw him again. But John, being a stand-up guy, I gave him credit for the producing.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me something about the state of mind of John during the recording sessions during that period? How was he as a person?
During some time in New York City,
Right.
oh, he was spot on. I mean, he came in every night at 6 o'clock. He had a new song. Some of them had been written months previous to some, back. And there was a song, John Sinclair, was about a fellow out in Ann Arbor, Michigan, that was busted for 2 joints.
Yeah.
When John flew out there to do a show with them, they let him out of jail in 2 days. It was very effective. So if you get put in jail, just ask Yoko to come, and maybe you'll get out in a couple of days. But that was some of the songs had been written previously, but the MO was you come in every night at 6, and there's a new song. By 7, you're laying down tracks, and John did not want to go past 2 or 3 takes, if that, because he was looking at it as if it were a newspaper, just like the cover and the concept. He came in, I just wanted to devote the time, that studio time, to one topic a night, as if you were going to put it out on a newspaper and have it hit the streets the next day. Yeah. It was boom, 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 one song a day for 2 weeks.
Wow. And you said it took you some time to get to know Yoko?
Oh, yeah, she was a sweetheart. I mean, during stealing us away from our wives for a couple of weeks, she would send flowers to the wives every day.
Oh, nice.
Oh, send a limo for them to take them to a very popular store here in New York called Bloomingdale's, which is like the very high-end department store here on Fifth Avenue and or Lexington, I guess it is. And but she just couldn't have been nicer. I mean, she always treated us and the wives like gold. If we were getting out a little early, which was almost never, she would get the hankering to go down to the to Chinatown and get some Japanese or Chinese food, and they were always having that brought into the studio. She kind of gave me an education on Japanese food. I had never really gotten into it, but I still eat it to this day. She kind of turned me on to it.
Beautiful.
Pretty good stuff.
Beautiful. Okay, and so then the great gig in Madison Square Garden. Can you bring me back the feeling that you had when you stood there and you saw John, you saw the audience, and you were standing there? I mean,
Stevie Wonder.
Well, I think I just remember I was amazed at how relaxed I was. I guess probably because we had rehearsed every day for 2 weeks at the Fillmore East, which is a very famous wooden theater kind of place that's renowned for rock shows. So that had been closed at the time temporarily, and so we rehearsed there every day. John was like a slave driver. He was like hell-bent on getting the show right, and so when the Garden came, he's the one that screwed up the lyrics and the arrangements. So
that's right, yeah.
Made us happy, you know. I mean,
yeah.
He made
really did well on the Yoko stuff.
He
really did well on the Yoko stuff.
Yoko stuff was amazing because there was a lot of ad-libbing and kind of like a jam thing going on behind her. So that always kind of stayed fresh. And I remember a couple of times during the show, back to your question, that John and I just once in a while, we had done this when we were recording that song that's not going to be on the box set, that famous song. When we were recording that on Sometime in New York City, I'll always remember, John and I at the end, it gets into this kind of a vamp kind of thing at the end. You know, we make her paint a face and dance, that line. And John and I just connected eye contact, and we just kind of had a moment. And that happened 2 or 3 times during the day at the Garden as well. I guess maybe, you know, when you seek out other people to get that vibe thing as a musician, you might want to revisit that, you know, almost a form of relaxing and falling into the groove. So John and I had a thing like that. I'm not saying everyone else didn't have a thing with them,
No, but you had it at that moment. That's beautiful,
yeah,
man.
2 or 3 times during the show. If you look closely, it's kind of hard to spot it, but I know where they are. It's definitely during Cold Turkey was one of them, which was amazing to play that with John on
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
They all were. I mean, the biggest thrill, of course, was Come Together.
Yeah.
We had talked him at the rehearsals that I just mentioned. We would beg him every day to do a Beatles song, and he was hell-bent on not doing any Beatles stuff. I get it. You know, he had his stuff. That's what he wanted to concentrate on. The new album, what sometime, and he said it was new at that point, and all those ones from his, Plastic Ono Band album and Imagine and all that stuff. He had stuff to promote. He didn't want to get weighed down with all that. So, but I think it was one of the last days of the rehearsal. I was a little late, and I cleared the door and heard them playing Come Together, and I went, "Oh my God, are we going to do this?" It was true.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
I couldn't have picked one
No, I can imagine. I can imagine.
One.
Yeah. Gary, we have to wrap it up. Ron, do you have one last question, please?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, yeah, of course I have. I've got two. Now we have time for that. But first of all, the box set. Have you heard it already?
I've heard everything.
What's your opinion?
I've seen the movie. Did you guys get the yellow vinyl? Yeah. Okay. So that's basically some of the audio that's going to be on the box set. It's all audio, dozens and dozens and dozens of tracks that you've never heard, I'm sure, to the point where there was stuff that I didn't even remember. They had Simon Hilton, that's in charge of the estate, had called me up and says, "I got to get you writing credits for a couple of songs." And I went, "Writing credits? What the heck could that be?" And it was a couple of the jams that you're going to hear from Elephant's Memory when we were in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Some during some time in New York City, some of them are from Yoko. There's some downtime in Yoko's Approximately Infinite Universe record. So it's snippets of different little jams. Then I guess they had to give somebody writing credits, so they were going to give it with the two remaining members of the band. Adam Ippolito is the only other person from Elephant's Memory that's still alive, the keyboard player.
Mm-hmm.
We're still very close and do a lot of Beatles shows and festivals here in the States. And
what do you think about the song that we shouldn't mention, but that it's left off the box? What's your opinion on that?
I think everybody's making a big to-do about nothing. Hey, if you want to hear it, record the box set and then go get it off of YouTube,
switch it on,
remastered, and put it first on your little tape. And it'll feel like everything's good.
I agree.
I don't have a problem with it. It's just way been out of shape what everybody's getting so bent out on. But what do you expect? Hey, my feelings about it are this. I waited 53 years for this to come out. Back when it was originally released, the original record, the one we're not discussing, was banned by the FCC here in the States. It hardly saw the light of day. So, geez, how long are we going to wait? Let's just don't make that an issue. I get it. I know Sean would have probably liked to have it on there. It's not his fault. It's not Yoko. It's definitely a legal issue, because I can't blame them for not wanting it to be banned and hurt the process of this wonderful box set. There's just stuff on here you're going to love.
Oh, we're looking forward to it.
Oh,
but one thing is still missing.
The sound with all the modern computerized stuff is just incredible.
But we're missing something else as well. You mentioned the Elephant's Memory album.
Yeah. Well, that's another mystery. I think I have no clue on that. For years, I thought she owned it, Yoko. and I found out she didn't own it, that Apple still owned it. And then I've heard that the tapes were destroyed. I've heard every bullshit excuse in the world. They've released everything else that's possibly could be released.
Yeah.
I really love that album.
We just don't know.
Yeah.
Still have hopes. I'm probably being silly, but it's
No, we hope to.
production. It needs to be put out.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
We agree.
Liberation Specials, great song. Power Boogie, I love it.
Oh, thank you. That's one I do.
So, Gary, thanks a lot
Thank
for your time. I have one little last question. We have about 5 minutes, so I'm just going to throw it in. When did you hear John Lennon for the last time? When did you met him for the last time? Can you remember?
Yeah, I talked to him a couple of weeks before he was killed.
Really?
Yeah, I had some original music on a cassette, and I called him to tell him I was sending it over to the Dakota, and would he be gracious enough to give it a listen and let me know what he thought. Said, well, I have plans to go out to promote this double fantasy thing. And he said, I'm not sure. He didn't say he wasn't going to do it, but he says, I'm not really sure that Tony Levin, the bass player, really is going to be available for it. Said, well, please keep me in mind.
Yeah.
I would love it. And he says, I will. And that's the last time I spoke with him.
Wow. Well, a bittersweet memory about a great artist. You were involved in a very, very important time.
I was blessed.
I can imagine.
How many bass players in the world have that opportunity?
Exactly. You, Klaus, and Paul. It's you, Klaus, and Paul, and Tony Levin. I mean, gee, that's great. Again, Gary, thank you for your time.
Yes.
Thank you, Tim and Ron. I appreciate it. And if you want to do it again, I'm always around. I'm not touring anymore. 79 in November, so wow. I think my touring days are over.
Are over now.
A few shows here and there, and
yeah.
I have a local band that I play with a couple of times a month, so that kind of keeps me playing. And but I've had it with Holiday Inns and the whole going on the road thing, I think.
Can imagine.
If we manage to track down some family members over here in Holland.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a great day, and I'm honored to be included in your Beatles fan club.
Yes.
Right. Good health, and see you next time, Gary.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.